Am I the asshole for throwing one cousin an extra birthday party but not her twin? I'm in my late 20s and my cousins are both 17. They're fraternal twins, so they don't look the same and they have very different personalities. Jessica is extremely outgoing, popular and has a ton of friends. She is always complimented on her looks. I've witnessed people stopping her in the streets to tell her she's pretty. Sarah is very shy and introverted. She has a solid group of friends, but in numbers, it's a lot less than Jessica. While I think she's beautiful, she doesn't get nearly as many compliments as Jessica and is usually ignored when standing next to Jessica. This has damaged her self-esteem over the years. The current situation. The girls turned 16 last year and their parents wanted to throw them a huge sweet 16. Unfortunately, you know what happened and the party wasn't possible. So they waited and did a big sweet 17 last month instead. When the party idea first came up, Sarah talked to me about how she didn't want the party to happen. She said she would feel like the ugly stepsister to Jessica's Cinderella and asked me how to tell her parents. We came up with the idea that the parents could divide the budget in half and allow each girl her own party with her own friends. Well, her parents didn't go for it and said that even if they did agree, they would split the budget 70/30 in favor of Jessica. Their reasoning was that Jessica shouldn't be punished for having more friends. I tried talking them too. It didn't work. The party was over a month ago and Sarah didn't have a good time. Jessica was the center of attention, she got all the compliments and she very obviously had way more friends present. Sarah really tried to have a good time, but it didn't work. She ended up crying in the bathroom at the end and venting to me and her friends about how she felt she could never measure up to her sister. A couple of days after the party, Jessica told me she felt like a princess the whole night. She even went as far as saying it was the best night of her life. I felt bad, so last weekend I decided to throw a little dinner party in my backyard for Sarah and a handful of her friends. That's what she wanted in the first place. It went really well and Sarah was able to shine in her own way. Of course, word got out at school, and when Jessica found out, she told her parents. Her mom called me in a fit of rage. She said I had no right to throw her child a birthday party without her permission. She couldn't believe I would favor one twin over the other, and wouldn't listen at all when I tried to explain why I did it. I do feel that I owe Jessica an apology and an explanation, but I also feel that she needs to have more empathy for her sister. I'm sick of her and her parents ignoring Sarah's feelings, and Sarah feels the same way. She said she's hoping to get a decent scholarship for college next year so she never has to see her parents or Jessica again. Am I the asshole for throwing Sarah a birthday party? Edit. A lot of people seem confused about Jessica's part in this and my feelings towards her, so I want to clarify. 1. I love Jessica just as much as I love Sarah. I'm 10+ years older than them, so I remember watching them grow up in my teens. We spent most holidays together. They both mean a lot to me. I would never dream of expecting Jessica to change who she is. I love that she's confident and outgoing. 2. Jessica was there in the same room when Sarah asked her parents for separate parties. She didn't like the idea at all, even if she would get 70% of the funding. She accused Sarah of trying to ruin their party. That's why I said she should have more empathy for Sarah. I don't think Jessica is a bad person. I just think she's gotten caught up in her popularity over the last couple of years. She's always been a sweet girl, but sometimes teenagers don't make the best decisions. It doesn't help that their mother encourages her. I'm hoping she'll grow out of it once she goes away to college. Not the asshole. The way I see it, is that no, they aren't punishing Jessica for having more friends than Sarah, but they are punishing Sarah for having not as many friends as Jessica. Not the asshole sounds like some favoritism on the family's side. Sarah will always remember what you did for her and will love you for it. When it has all calmed down, maybe you can explain to Jessica why you did it, and if she can't understand, that's on her. She couldn't believe I would favor one twin over the other. I could say the same about Mum herself. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, you are Sarah's awesome cousin, hero. Continue to be that way. You don't owe your aunt anything. Or Jessica, to be honest. She sounds like she couldn't care less about her sister's feelings. Yes, adolescence is a selfish time, but come on. The way you describe things, it sounds like Jessica enjoys her advantages in a very free and easy way with no thought for anyone else. Not the asshole. The parents definitely are. So it's okay for them to favor one twin but no one can favor the other? Not the asshole. You can throw a party for anyone you want. I sympathized with everyone in this story until Mom called in a rage that you threw a small party without her permission. Sounds like Sarah does need a break from all of them. Maybe in the future she and Jessica will get along better. But I don't see much hope for the parents. You had no right to have a dinner gathering with your cousin without her mother's permission? At 17? WTF, are people really like this? Not the asshole. They can't believe that you are favoring one over the other? All you did was level the playing field to allow Sarah to shine. They're the ones with the clear favorite. Not the asshole, op. Sarah will always remember what you did for her. Am I the asshole for not letting someone live with me because of religion? I, 25F, am a foreigner in the US for a year on business, at the American branch of the company I work for. My friend Aviva and I did a house swap for the year, and I now live in her 2-bedroom apartment. She wants to rent out the second room, but said I can choose my flatmate while I'm there. I was talking to coworkers about needing to find someone to live with me. One woman, Susan, 20s. F, immediately jumped in and said that she has a friend that is looking for an apartment. She started to enthusiastically tell me about her, but when I heard her name, I knew it was Muslim. The problem is, I am an observant Jew who keeps a kosher kitchen and Shabbat. That just wouldn't work. I need another observant Jew to live with. I was planning on going to local synagogues and Jewish organizations to reach out to the community for a flatmate. A kosher kitchen requires a lot. All food has to be certified kosher, meat, dairy can't mix, and you need to use separate sets of kitchenware. No shellfish, no pork. All food served has to be, primarily, made by a Jew, etc. Shabbat also requires a lot, the biggest one being not to use electricity for 25 hours. How could someone who isn't an observant Jew live like this? I would never dream of imposing this on anyone. She would probably think living with me was a nightmare. I tried to explain the situation to Susan that I need a Jewish roommate for reasons cited above, and she immediately started saying how I hate Muslims and Arabs, and how terrible I am. That she was going to go to HR on me. I spelled out the specific laws that I live by, why it wouldn't work. Assuring her constantly that it's nothing against Muslims. That I am sure that I would like her friend, and we could be friends if she introduced us. It has nothing to do with her religion, it has to do with mine. That I have Muslim friends that I grew up with, and while they like me and hang out with me, they wouldn't want to live with me either. Susan was not understanding anything I was saying. She finished off the conversation by saying, "Jews are dirty and disgusting people. She is too good to live with you anyway," and stormed off. I really didn't think I was the asshole at the time, and turned to my other coworkers who were there for the conversation and said, "Well, that was crazy." But then they ended up defending Susan. So now I'm just at a loss. Am I the asshole for not considering to live with someone outside of my religion? Edit. To clarify on my level of observance, as some are asking. I am not Haredi, I very most likely wouldn't be on Reddit if I was, but I'm definitely on the stricter side of Orthodox. No non-kosher food can be in the kitchen at all because of storage issues and the usage of certain plates. I am not lenient on the issue at all. Halal and kosher rules are different. Kosher can be considered halal in many Muslim communities. But halal is not kosher. My friend Aviva also already has the kitchen set up as a kosher kitchen, as she is also Orthodox. And yes, Judaism doesn't proselytize, so my non-Jewish roommate wouldn't be obligated to not use electricity or follow Shabbat in any way. But I also can't do things like watch TV on Shabbat, or listen to music, which is in the common area. It wouldn't be okay even if I wasn't actively watching it myself. This would be unfair to her. Some religious Jews would watch if someone else turns it on, but me and my Orthodox community don't do that, and still consider it to be forbidden. I also would feel uncomfortable telling someone to do things for me on Shabbat that I can't do. It would make me feel like I was treating my roommate as a servant. There are also other Shabbat-related issues as well, such as we don't flush the toilet. So it's very complicated and would make someone else uncomfortable. She said Jews are dirty and disgusting people, but she's the one going to HR? SMH. Not the asshole. You need to get ahead of this and report Susan to HR for her nasty comments and harassment. Not the asshole. For future reference, please consider the following sentence. I have a number of inflexible rules in my living space, due to my personal beliefs, and very few people are compatible with them. Thank you for the thought, but it generally works better when I find roommates on my own. No mention of race or religion required unless someone really presses the subject. It might be useful for work-related settings. Not the asshole. Report Susan's anti-Semitic comments immediately. Not the asshole. Your reasons are extremely valid, and you're coming from a good place. You need to live with someone who has a similar lifestyle, and that's okay. Susan, on the other hand, is a bigoted asshole, and you should report her to our OP. Hates Muslims and Arabs. Jews are dirty and disgusting people. Both of these were spoken by the same person. LMAO, take her to HR. As even if what she said about you is true, it's not work-related. But she, on the other hand, is being intolerant of your religious practices, heritage, and has created a hostile work environment. Your prerequisites are completely reasonable, as it's like a vegan seeking another vegan, or a graveyard shift worker seeking another graveyard shift worker. You're prioritizing synergy and harmony over the first person recommended and nepotism. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I also don't understand why the hell all the drama. Thank you for the recommendation, Susan. I will consider it. You don't owe Susan to take her advice, nor do you owe to anyone to take them up as a roommate. Susan has no business who you live with. Not the asshole, obviously. From one observant Jew to another. Why are you even posting this? I've also been in the position of looking for roommates, and I've only considered living with people who share my level of observance. It's completely impractical to maintain an observant home to the level that you're describing if your housemate isn't on the same page. You basically wouldn't be able to use your kitchen if your roommate wasn't on board with the level of kashrut. Your problem would be the same if Susan's suggestion was an unobservant Jew rather than a Muslim. People who would call you the asshole lack the background knowledge of your religious requirements, so why would you want their opinion? Am I the asshole for not warning my parents about my sister's wedding? I, 23M, recently attended my stepsister's 27F wedding. My sister and I are really close, and I honestly wouldn't be here today without her. Her mother and my father passed away, and our parents then got married. 3 years later for her and 6 years later for me. We were 13 and 9 when they married. Our younger sisters was born when I was 10 and 12. At first, our parents were terrible at blending families and didn't realize that it was especially difficult for my stepsister, who vividly remembered her mother. To give them credit, they soon realized their mistake and stopped trying to replace the opposite dead parent. I was able to forgive and move on because I don't remember my father, but my sister found it difficult to forgive. My mom didn't know how to deal with a teenage girl and had a lot of expectations for her that she realized were cruel, and to her credit did apologize. My stepsister has always been soft-spoken and forgiving and did try to work on her relationship with my mother for our sakes because she did not want to cause conflict. She is very close to her father. She very much was the big sister and did so much for me even though our parents told her that she didn't too and was also a child. I know it was hard on her, especially when I had some mental health struggles, and now I have promised myself I will take care of her for the rest of my life. My sister has always been very classy and would never let outsiders know anything about her struggles with her family. So when she told me about her plans to honor parents at the wedding, I was shocked. I was slightly proud of her though, even though her actions were in my opinion petty. At her wedding, she had a tribute for her mother and father, and her now husband spoke about his mother, father, and stepparents who has great relationships with during dinner before the dancing. My mother was humiliated and cried, and my sister's dad yelled at her, outside. But the wedding was ruined for my sister. She was in tears and begged her dad not to leave before the father-daughter dance. Our parents asked me if I knew, and I told them that I did, and they got upset with me for not telling them. I think I was in the right, but I have been thinking, and maybe a warning would have prevented the blow-up at my sister's wedding. My sister has been so upset, and I wonder if I could have helped prevent this disaster. Edit for more info. 1. My mom was really obsessed with my stepsister's appearance and controlled her eating a lot. My SS struggles with food insecurity to this day. Mom apologized, but damage is done too. My mom made her babysit a lot and make us lunches and made her do our laundry because it was her job. As the big sister again, Mom apologized, but it didn't stop her viewing herself as a caregiver and me and my younger sisters seeing her as more of one than a sister. 3. Whenever my SS did anything as a teenager like stay out too late, my mom would ask her if her dead mother would be proud of her. Seems manipulative to me. There are more instances. Also, the speech basically was my SS saying how much she missed her mom and wished she could have been there for the day and the events leading up to the wedding. She talked about how she felt honored to wear items her mom wore to her wedding to her dad, and hoped she was looking down on her and hoped she was proud of how her dad and she had gone through life. She mentioned that she loved her dad and was grateful she could go to him for anything. She said she was glad she could spend the day with her younger siblings and told us she loved us. Then her husband thanked his parents and stepparents, and my sister finished it off by saying they had great role models for marriage and hoped she could make her mom proud in her role as a wife. Not the asshole, and their reaction proves your sister was right not to tell them. If they knew ahead of time, I guarantee their attendance would depend on your mom getting mentioned. It seems your mom hasn't learned her lesson about trying to replace your sister's dead parent. Not the asshole, your parents acted monstrously. Who gets angry at a bride on her wedding day for remembering her mother? That's so cruel and narcissistic. Not the asshole. At the end of the day, the woman who passed will always be your mother. That shouldn't be humiliating. It's just the truth. And honestly, how dare your stepfather yell at her on her own wedding day? Honestly, they just proved her right for not telling them ahead of time. I doubt they would have come until she promised to give your mother a mention. Everyone sucks here. A heads up likely would have prevented the whole situation. If she only wanted to honor her mum and dad, that's fine, but her husband mentioning his step-parents definitely drew attention to the fact that she deliberately left out her step-mum, which I imagine was upsetting, understandably so, for your mum. It sounds like your mum has made plenty of mistakes but has been receptive when those mistakes are pointed out and has apologized and tried to change her behavior. It's reasonable to believe that if sister had gone to them before the wedding and let them know what was going to happen, while your mum may still have been upset, she would have had time to get over it and wouldn't have felt totally blindsided. Info. What exactly did this tribute to her parents entail? In other words, did she take a cheap shot at your mother? For example, something like how her father has never been as happy as he was when he was with her mom. Doubt that was what she said, but just making sure before I give a judgment. That being said, as of right now seems like NTA. Your sister was unkind. The problem was not in honoring her mother, which she had every right to do, but for making no mention of her stepmom. If she truly didn't like your mother, she had to at the very least know there would be a fallout for purposefully leaving her out. Your parents should not have brought you into it. Telling them was not your responsibility. It was your sister's. Your parents were the asshole. Your mother doesn't get to erase a dead person or someone else's dead mother. Info. If your sister's husband mentioned his step-parents, why didn't your sister? It was kind of a dick move. You can see how it would humiliate your mother to be intentionally left out? Not just a, oh well I have a mother thing. Step-parents were specifically mentioned but she wasn't? Am I the asshole for getting someone arrested? No cross-posting please and thank you. Edit. OMG you guys, I can't believe I've wasted a whole day on this sub. I had shit to do today. But thank you for all the love and awards. I definitely feel secure in the fact that I did the right thing now. Relieved face. Shout out to the guy who said this story was fake because there are literally no female bouncers ever. You're the MVP. Also be nice about my mum. I love her fucking loads and she is a huge part of why I am a little gobshite to begin with lol. I'm gonna go and do something productive so I don't feel too guilty about spending so long on Reddit. Peace. Original. This happened a few weeks ago and I felt justified in my actions until I told my mother about it. I, 27 female, was at a bar with some friends, between 21-33 female, and my brother, 26 NB, waiting to order drinks. A man came up from behind us and did that thing men do where instead of saying, "Excuse me," they put their hands on your back and hips. This guy did that to one of my friends, then me, before standing next to me, behind his friend who was getting served. This pissed me off as I don't like people touching me without my consent, especially strangers. The bar was busy but not so loud that you couldn't hear people, so I said to the guy, next time you need to get by, just say, "Excuse me. There's no need to put your hands on us." The guy immediately went on the defensive, saying things like, "I didn't touch you. Don't flatter yourself," and "I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole you fat bitch." Variations of the same insults were being thrown at me until I put my hand between his face and mine and said, "Your mate's got your drinks, so now you can get put of my face and leave me alone you ugly bastard." Admittedly, not the best thing to say to defuse a situation, but if this guy can insult me for asserting my bodily autonomy, he's gonna get the same treatment. At this point the dude becomes vitriolic. My bro realizes what's happening and tells the guy to leave me alone. The guy then starts screaming threats at them. I stand in between them, facing the guy, just repeating, "Leave us alone," as this guy is shaking his fist at my brother, saying, "Just you wait, just you wait." A male bouncer comes over, completely ignores me, only addresses my brother and the two men, and just tells the men to go to the other side of the room, despite us saying they were threatening us and we feel unsafe. Then the head bouncer, a woman, comes over, and she asks me what happened. So I told her. The two guys are still nearby and can hear what I'm saying. They're shouting that I'm a liar and a bitch, but the head bouncer just says to them, "You are the ones being aggressive, so you need to leave," and they are not so politely escorted out. I go to the loo to calm down and then we all went outside for a smoke. The guys are at the door, still arguing with the bouncers. By the time we find a seat, the guy that touched my friend and I is being dragged away by the police, literally kicking and screaming. That we got to witness this instant karma was nothing short of a blessing, and we celebrated the rest of the night. I was pretty chuffed that I stood up for myself, but when I told my mum, she was a bit annoyed that I put myself in a dangerous situation. In her mind, if a man makes you uncomfortable, it's better to just take it rather than deal with the fallout of criticizing their actions. She thinks I escalated the argument by calling him an ugly bastard, and he probably wouldn't have gotten arrested if I'd just kept my mouth shut. Not the asshole. Well done for standing up for yourself. The asshole was arrested for his actions, not yours. Besides, while it was something the asshole did outside that got him arrested. He wasn't arrested for what he did to you or your friend. For that to have been the case, the police would have taken statements from you. Instead of saying, "Excuse me," they put their hands on your back and hips. "I didn't touch you. Don't flatter yourself," and, "I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole, you fat bitch, not the asshole." These people irritate the hell out of me, and I'm not even one of the people they do it to. This isn't a one-off, and it does disrespect bodily autonomy. Getting arrested over how he escalated will hopefully teach him to stop being an asshole. Hopefully. Not the asshole. This is blaming the victim. The only thing that got him arrested were his own actions. In fact, the police wouldn't have been involved if they'd just left after being kicked out. Not the asshole. Your mom was only worried about you. That's what we do. If that guy was so quick to lose control, it was going to happen that night, whether it was toward you or someone else. He came in with a chip on his shoulder. This isn't on you at all. Not the asshole, but as general rule, it's not wise to throw insults at a hyper-aggressive person who has been drinking. I won't say you were in the wrong, but not exactly wise either in your choice of words. Not the asshole. The guy got himself arrested. Not the asshole. You didn't get them arrested. It might be argued that you got them kicked out, but I think that's on them. As for what they did to get arrested, that's entirely based on whatever they did. They had the opportunity to walk away and find another bar. Never worth arguing with bouncers. Even if you are 100% in the right, they literally don't care. Their sole job is to prevent fights. Not the asshole. Dude did it to himself. You just stood up for yourself.